My name is Jim Ash, and I graduated the New Life Discipleship and Recovery Program 5 years ago. In 2016, I was homeless in Nampa, addicted to meth. I was an IV drug user. And, a year before that, I had a house, I had a wife, and had my kids on a regular basis. And then within a year, I lost everything. Was at first living out of my pickup, and then eventually I lost it because I traded it for drugs. Ended up in a storage unit in Nampa, living out of a storage unit. I would get stuff out of the dumpster, try to trade things, and the goal was just to get high every day. It was during Snowmageddon, and I was literally freezing to death, and I had bought some drugs and was gonna take my own life. And when I went to go give myself a shot, it froze, and I was so angry. And I remember praying to God to either let me die or to help me. And over the next few months, I watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos of a preacher, and then I started going to the Boise Rescue Mission for food. Ended up going to the Allenbaugh House for detox. Was in there for 10 days, and while I was in there, there was a TV in there, and on the screen was Reverend Roscoe talking about the Boise Rescue Mission. And then the next day, I was walking across the floor, and there was a piece of paper on the floor, and I picked it up, and it was an application to the Boise Rescue Mission. I filled out the application and sent it in, and the person that was running the program at the time had used to work with my mom at the Department of Corrections. And he accepted me into the program. I left straight from detox and went straight to the program. It was it was a shock because I now had people telling me what to do, but again, it was people that were doing it in a loving manner, weren't judging. I really felt welcomed, and I felt safe. I was in the program. It was pretty small when I was there. There was we ranged from 4 people to 10 people. And so there was a lot of one-on-one time with counselors, which really helped a lot. Gave me time to read the Bible all the way through. Lots of classes, people coming in off the streets, pastors teaching us things. And I think I believed that there was a God, but I didn't know anything about Jesus Christ. I never grew up in a family that talked about Jesus. When I was on YouTube, I learned a lot, the beginnings, but once I got to the program and was able to actually sit down and read the Bible, it just clicked. And I'd read the Bible in jail before, parts of it, but I never understood anything. And it was like a light came on while I was there, and everything that I was reading finally made sense. And I was just shocked that I'd never understood it before. I probably asked some of the stupidest questions looking back, but they just babied me through it, because that's exactly what I was. I was an infant to the kingdom, and they just walked me through that. I'm very grateful for them. I remember reading a book from Francis Chan called, I can't remember the name of it, but it talked about the Holy Spirit, and the same Spirit that raised Jesus Christ from the dead is the same Spirit that lives in us. And it was an aha moment, totally. It was and I feel that's when I received the Holy Spirit in my life, was that day. Upon finishing the program, I moved into the transitional housing that the Rescue Mission provides, and then from there, got my own place. So that was nice. The mission helped me all the way through, from when I had nothing to, even now I still talk to the counselors from the program. While I was in phase 4, I got a job, and it was the same job I had up until very recently. I couldn't hold a job for longer than 6 months before. But where the mission really helped me was consistency. And I was able to learn consistency and loyalty as well. And so I was able to keep that job longer than anyone I ever had. I moved on to a better job now, but there's been some hard things that have happened since graduating, and there's been some amazing things. Some of the hard things that I've dealt with, I've lost 2 cousins to fentanyl, and I've lost my brother this year in November to fentanyl. And but through all that, God has been right there beside me. There's been some great changes too, as far as you know, I'm now married. My kids are back in my life. I have 3 amazing stepkids, and we do fun things all the time. So, yeah. My advice for people struggling with addiction is to reach out. There's so many resources out there. I mean, the first step is getting sober. I mean, for one day at a time, and that's through detox. And then from there, just one step at a time. But I think the big thing for people to find recovery, long-term recovery, is to find Jesus Christ and to put Him first, and then everything else will just fall into place. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for the donors to the Boise Rescue Mission. I wouldn't have my life back. I wouldn't have my kids back in my life. I wouldn't be married if it wasn't for the generous people that donate to the Boise Rescue Mission.